Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm Justin, WI4EC, Blackbeard Radio. Coming to you today from Morse Creek Battlefield. It's a POTA park. Sorry, we don't remember the park number at the moment. Yeah, we're doing some antenna testing, kind of ahead of field day, kind of because Mike, who you've seen on the channel before, NI2S, he's our battleship liaison, and he's also the vice president of our local club. Mike has a pretty neat antenna that it's an older antenna that's not in production anymore, but we're trying to get it working because it's a vertical. So stick with me, find out more. Again, I'm Justin, WI4EC, Blackbeard Radio.
HF antenna that was manufactured in the 80s. I don't know exactly when it went out of production. It was sold by a ham in California. It's a patented design, and I guess it never really took off because it's buried deep in ham radio obscuria. But I was living in an apartment at the time, and I needed a small antenna, indoor antenna, and I saw this advertised, and so I bought it. I have no recollection of what I paid for it, so that I could operate from inside the house. And I worked a fair amount of DX with it back in the day, not consistently, but when the bands were good. I think the farthest I worked with this antenna when I was up in New Jersey was the Mauritius, how do you pronounce that? Mauritius Island, whatever, one of those islands in the Indian Ocean.
Oh, wow.
So at least it worked back then, and I had loaned this antenna out to a friend of mine, K2AJV up in New Jersey, because he was antenna challenged, but he never put it up. And I was up in the neighborhood visiting recently, and I said, hey, you still have that antenna, can I have it back? And he said, yeah, sure, and he gave it to me because I'm hoping that this might be a good POTA antenna to use on the battleship. That was ultimately my goal. Now, this is all improvised. When I first had it, I had come up with the idea of the aluminum screen, and it worked very well, though the aluminum screen square was smaller than this. I don't remember the exact dimensions, but it was not. This is 8 feet by 7 feet, more or less, and rather than radials. And so we're going to see if this thing still works. It's been unused for, I guess, 10, 15 years. And so we're going to...
So you've got an analyzer on it now.
I got an analyzer on it.
Here's the close-up of the antenna, guys. So Mike actually found a really nifty tripod that collapses very small, not a lot bigger than a Coke can, but it has a couple different inserts that go in the middle. One of them is for like a 3/8 thread, and the other one is a 239 UHF VHF style thread. And then both of them have a pigtail that come out of the bottom. And then it also came with these lugs on the side that you can put grounding wire on. And you can see Mike's running 2 sections of grounding wire. One is clipped to each screen, trying to create as much ground plane as possible in lieu of radials. When I was first looking at it, one of the cool things I saw, this is the 40-meter whip, and you can see it's not very tall. It's maybe 16, 18 inches tall. But one of the neat things is each radial arm of this actually has lettering on it to let you know how far to extend it for the band you're looking at. And you can see in Mike's previous journey, or the fella out of California, he had them figured out and written down, which is kind of a very wise thing to do.
Yeah, this, by the way, the antenna, the name of the antenna is the Spider antenna, not to be confused with the Spider Beam, completely different manufacturer. Never the two have met. And I think one of the parts of the patents are these adjustable they're not taps, but these these little black adjustable rings, I guess,
They're almost like a trap on a beam, sorta.
allow you to adjust the SWR. Now I'm standing too close to the antenna, but it allows you to try and get close to resonance. And we're going in the wrong direction.
We're going the wrong way.
It's now resonant at 14.1.
14 point.
SW resonant, 1.7 SWR, not great, but not horrible.
So 1.7 SWR at 14.1. So firmly in the digital band. So he shortened that little black piece. That collar was up here and now it's down to here. There's Jeff, K4JEL. He put up his wire antenna in a tree.
Okay, now it's resonant at 14.325 with an SWR 1.8. I'm shooting for 14.300.
So shooting for 14.300 at true resonance. So at this point, it'll be tiny adjustments from here on out, probably. If it's like wire antennas or a trap. But this is what we're doing. We're trying to get things figured out. Winter field day is only a couple months away. And for our own edification, this is, like Mike said, going to be his one of his POTA antenna options. He also has a chameleon multiband vertical that works wonderfully. I've used that before.
Check it out.
I would say he almost got it right exactly where he wants it. I don't know if you can see that, but it's 14.300 and it's 1.7. So definitely an operatable SWR. You know, most radios start to get weary around 3.1. I try to stay under 2 to 1.
Yeah.
And 1.7, 1.8 is definitely under 2 to 1.
The real question is this just a resonant dummy load or is it an antenna?
That's true. Will it transmit after 15 years of being off the air? All right, so now I'm going to talk you through what I'm trying out today. I hadn't changed anything up a lot. Oops, sorry for the Blair Witchism there. I'm going with my 1010 49 to 1 like I normally run, my standard speaker wire and a sloper. It's 67 feet long, 65 feet long. One day I'll measure it. But it doesn't need a counterpoise. It doesn't need anything. But today what I'm going to try and do is actually run radials off of it of equal wire length to see what it does. Maybe it'll sound better. Maybe it'll sound worse. Who knows? That's what today's all about, testing it and figuring it out. All right, I'll get with you in a second, let you know what Jeff's got going on. All right, guys, slide update. So the spider antenna, different than spider beam, remember, that Mike is testing. We switched it out to my POTA coax, which is RG174, and the SWR was actually a little bit lower. We had the same instance that happened when we tested my POTA antenna. Somehow that little wire is a little bit better versus really nice coax cable. It still amazes me. So Mike's using an Elecraft K3 today on 20 meters at the moment. And who would have ever thought that finding an open frequency is difficult?
I didn't hear hardly anybody on yesterday.
Jeff abandoned the cold bench for a camping chair.
Yeah.
Something about wanting to be able to move his hips later. the internal tuner, the Elecraft. I'm sure y'all couldn't see the tiny screen there, but it just got it to 1.1.
Notepad.
And
Notepad.
now we're going for a login device. All right, so while Mike's looking for a notepad, let's go over what Jeff's doing. Jeff's got his, what you got?
FTA 91, MFJ auto tuner, MFJ 30 watt power supply.
Oh, that's the MFJ switching
Power supply.
Nice.
That's the one I got when I bought the radio, and it's still going strong. This is just a little micro speaker I got plugged in. And
Jeff's also running a neat thing that I need desperately, a PowerWorks power pole distribution block.
Yep.
I just made a Y on mine. I'll show you that video later. He's running like 20 feet of coax.
25 feet of coax, 4 red radials here.
Going in the star pattern.
They go to here, and this goes to the ground rod. The antenna is the green coming in here, gets hooked to the other end of the 9-to-1 UNUN, and goes 60 feet up at about a 45-degree angle.
So Jeff's running a sloper too. Same length of wire I have, give or take a nut. His is set up a little different. He actually ties his to a grounding rod. That rod's what, like 24 inches, isn't that right, Jeff?
Yes, it's not long.
And he drives it into the ground with a maul. You can see he hooks the grounding lug to it. And then he also, on the other end, runs grounding radials off of it. And we've operated this antenna a bunch together when we've operated actually here and other places. And
Hung over that end.
yeah, same tree limb probably, but it has great results. Again, today we're going to activate a little bit, so you can look for NI2S, K4JL, and my call, WI4EC. We'll be on the POTA spotting page if we have cell signal. I'm not sure we have cell signal, but we're, the main goal of today is testing antennas, trying to get squared away for winter field day and summer field day, make sure all of our ducks are in a row. Talk to y'all later.
CQ POTA, this is November India 2 Sierra. November India 2 Sierra, calling CQ POTA and standing by.
Oh, update. We found the part number. It's Kilo 0706.
CQ POTA, this is November India 2 Sierra. November India 2 Sierra, calling CQ POTA and standing by.
I'll be back with you once we get contacts.
CQ POTA.
All right, guys. You can see how beautiful this pavilion is. I mean, it's just gorgeous woodwork in the ceiling, the beams. It's all gorgeous. Moores Creek Battlefield is a Civil War battlefield. Really secluded. RF level is really low. The closest major city is Wilmington, and it's probably 20 miles away the way the crow flies. So the RF is wonderfully low here. I wish this park was actually closer to my house, because this would definitely be one of my favorite places to operate. But I did want to update you on one thing that we found out. If you've seen my videos from field day or from winter field day last year, my local amateur radio club, the Azalea Coast Club, the one that you can contact to guest operate on board Battleship North Carolina, we have 5 bandpass filters. For those of you that don't know, bandpass filters you put in line in your coax, and they have megahertz ratings. So you can buy them for each individual band, and you can actually buy electric ones and digital ones that you can select your bands on. But we have the simple ones that are 1-band isolation. And every once in a while, even with bandpass filters in place, you can have a little bit of RF problems. If your antennas are really close together and you're running something with a really high PEP, if you're doing something that's pretty constant wave like CW, high power, or digital, you can still run into some interference even with bandpass filters. So today we don't have any filters in place, and I want to show you some of our problems that we're having. Jeff is currently sitting still right there with his radio off. Mike is operating his rig right now, and that's because on 20 to 40 with our antennas about 35 feet apart, we're having some horrible RF problems. Not dangerous to the point we're going to ruin equipment, but sorry, I just realized you couldn't see my eyes. But we are having problems to where everything Mike is doing when he's transmitting is bleeding from 20 meters over to 40 automatically. Mike's in the upper end of 20. He's at like 14,320 something. And Jeff was on the low end of 40 at like 7,205 or 220, something like that. So pretty low end of 40 general band. And everything Mike said, you could hear it. It was gargled, a little bit scratchy, but it was a lot of RF bleed over coming through. I want to show you how far away these antennas are from each other, just so you can see. I got to break away. Sorry, I'm still filming on an iPhone. Hopefully I'll switch one day and I'll be able to do a selfie, not selfie, and just hit the button. But unfortunately, I can't, so stick with me. All right, same foot place, hadn't moved anything. So here's the base of Jeff's antenna here. And there's the vertical that Mike is testing out right there. So I'm gonna walk it off. And it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, 14. So it's 14 paces. So yeah, right at 30 yards, 33 yards, somewhere right in there. Yeah, maybe it's the omnidirectional thing with the vertical radiating everywhere. You know, it just radiates a complete circle. But Jeff's wire, you can't really see it in this, but if I zoom in, you can see that green wire running way up into the trees, all the way up to here. But Jeff's wire is certainly catching a lot of flack. So, lo and behold, we'll see what happens. If anything else changes, I'll let you know, but it's something to be cognizant of when y'all are setting up and operating. So that means if I plug in my antenna and turn on my radio, mine is like 10 steps away, so a third of the distance. So I would definitely have a lot of bleed over from Mike, and that's even in between bands. You can't really change a whole lot when it comes to RF output without filters. So any of y'all that are trying to test and set up for field day or winter field day, I'm walking to the woods so you can just see how pretty it is. There's a little swamp. But any of y'all that are setting up and you're gonna run multiple stations, it's something to think about, guys. Again, whoopsie. I'm Justin, Blackbeard's Radio, WI4EC. All right, guys, so I've now tried to radials. I'll show you what I did for a setup. I just took speaker wire to match my speaker wire length for my actual antenna, roughly 65 foot worth. I cut 5 radials and I have them going roughly in a star pattern. One this way, this way, this way, and then 1, 2 back there. You can kind of see them laid out there loosely. I forgot my tent stakes, so they're not laid out beautifully, but they are laid out nonetheless. We had a beautiful contact on the K3 using Mike's antenna and my antenna pre-radials. The gentleman said he was going to take a break. He was Whiskey 2 Sierra or Charlie. He said both, so we're not sure who he really is. But obviously special event station for something. And we're going to give him a little while to see if he comes back, because he said he was only taking a break. And then we'll see if there's a sound quality difference. My antenna was tuning on the K3 at 1:1, and when I added the radials just now, it's still tuning at 1:1. So at least that part didn't change, which is, you know, always the first question. So yeah, we'll see what we get. I'll try and get some audio of with and without radials so that y'all can hear the difference, if there is a big difference. If there's a minute difference or you can't hear a difference one way or another, I probably won't put it in. I'll just do a quick voiceover to let you know, can't hear a difference at all. Again, and here's the quick break-in with the voiceover. You could not hear an audible difference at all. I couldn't anyway. If it was there, couldn't tell. I'm the guy that makes the 1010 antennas, or the 1010 49:1 UNUNs. He tells you you don't need radials, you don't need a counterpoise, that as long as you use 50 foot of coax, you are good to go. I've said that before, I'll continue to say it. That's why I use 50 foot of coax no matter where I go. because he recommends it, and I've never had an issue. With that contact we did have, that one contact we did have when we were on the spider antenna that Mike is testing, Mike received a 5.7. When we switched to my antenna, same radio, I received the 5.9. Don't know if it was just articulation. Maybe my letters, I might have phonetically put more oomph behind it. There's a fancy word for that. I can't remember, but so, there's a lot of variables between a 5.7 and a 5.9. Who knows? But either way, again, if there's an audio difference, I'll let you know. 73. All right, so we had an update. Jeff's original wire antenna was running a little bit short. SWR was high. So we strung up another wire, added 3 or 4 feet to it. Now let's see what we tune at.
It's quieter than your antenna. Don't do that to me. There we go. .9 to 1.
So it moved to 2.9 to 1. Up. Mike tried again. Same results, 2.9 to 1. We went the wrong way. We should have shortened the antenna, apparently. Jeff, you want to drop it again and shorten it a little bit? I have zip ties. That was a no. I don't know if you could hear it. We're going to move to Jeff's radio, see what we get. And this is part of ham radio. We could be slamming on the air right now, but this is what today was about. We were going to try and operate the parks once we got antennas tested and figured out what all was better or worse, and how things affected each individual antenna, and then how they affected others around us. And that's exactly what we're able to do. And you're going to have days when things don't work. So today's about trying to find the things that work so we can eliminate the ones that don't work for later. All right, check back with me. Hey, what's up, everybody? Just thought I'd give a little follow-up and an exit, or an outro, or whatever you want to call it. The radials, adding radials to my antenna did not do a thing. Didn't change the SWR. No noticeable difference whatsoever in the audio coming in or going out. Everybody still sounded great. So the 1010, 49 to 1 UNUN, nothing needed. Again, I appreciate everybody that watched. If you made it this far, 92% of y'all are not subscribed. I would love it if you would drop a like and a subscribe. Doesn't cost a thing. Just helps me know if this is something that y'all like seeing, different kinds of antennas being tested. So not sure if we called it either, by the way. Jeff we switched out his 9 to 1 Balun to try and figure out, he was having some SWR problems, and we never could get it nailed down. It got in a tunable range, but it never would work well. So more to do with that later. Anyway, I'm Justin, WI4EC. You've watched Blackbeard's Radio. Talk to y'all later.